الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Inshallah, today is the second to last talk about the life of Umar Al-Khattab radiallahu anhu. Obviously, I will be kind of abruptly ending the talks on the life of Umar because there's a lot to cover. I'm trying my best to at least give you a taste of it, and expectation is inshallah you guys will start reading at least a book which is a very good book. I would highly recommend you guys read, written by Ali al-Sallabi. Allah yahfidhu. It's a very good book. And he has written many books, including all the Khulafa Rashidin and the Seerah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Besides that, more history books are written by him, but very well referenced books that he has written. So I would highly recommend looking into them. Anyways, last week we talked about the expectation of the Khalifa, which is whatever the stipend that was given to him, and introduction of the Hijri calendar, and the title that was given to Umar, starting from Umar to the rest of the Khulafa followed him, which was Amir al-Mu'mineen. And some of the examples from the societal life of Umar we discussed and try to compare it with today's time as well. Today we'll talk about there's something I wanted to talk about last week. We did not have enough time to discuss it, but there's a misunderstanding about asceticism or being a zahid or zuhd. It's important for us to have a correct understanding of that because unfortunately nowadays people carry some strange ideas about that, about being a zahid. And then we'll talk about two very important events that happened in the era of Umar al-Khattab. One is the Aam Ramada, or which is referred to as the year of ashes, and Ta'un, the plague that happened in the era of Umar, and how Umar al-Khattab dealt with it. Look, these are the kind of things, whether it's a Ta'un or whether it's a year of ashes, or a year of some sort of drought or something that happens, these natural disasters, they happen all the time. Yeah? And inshallah we'll try to look into it, that how it was addressed at the time of Umar, and how unfortunately they've been addressed today. Okay? So that's pretty much what we'll discuss today. Now, as far as the misunderstanding about the asceticism or being zahid, one time Umar al-Khattab saw a man. He was dying because of his zuhd. I cannot pronounce this word. Okay, so he hit him with his stick, and he said, "Do not make Allah being dead. May Allah kill you." This is how he addressed him. And subhanAllah, what he was referring to is, it's not that he was against being a zahid or something, rather the misunderstanding of this concept. Right? Meaning you are virtuous, you are religious, you are ascetic, which is referred to more of a spiritual aspect of your life. In Islam, it never was defined as that if you are physically weak, then you are closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or when you suppress your needs and instincts, that makes you a better person in any way. In Islam, the taqwa is defined by how much you follow the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look, that's a different story, that somebody is in need and you rather fulfill his needs than your own need. Right? That's one aspect of it. And other is that you have enough, others have enough, but you deprive yourself. As if that's deprivation of your basic needs and necessities will bring you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is not coming from Islam. This is coming from other kinds of other religions that exist out there. They talk like this, as if most human beings are two beings, material being and a spiritual being. You suppress your spirituality, then you become more. When you become more materialistic, then you are less spiritual. And when you are less materialistic, then you are more spiritual. In Islam, it's not like that. Rather, it is that as long as you follow the commands of Allah Azza wa Jal, that's what brings you close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In that case, some cases you may have to take care of others while you may not be able to fulfill your needs. That's a different story than everybody has enough and then you deprive yourself from fulfilling your needs and stuff. So that does not make you close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What makes you close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, no matter what situation you are in the state of ease or in the state of hardship, you follow Allah Azza wa Jalla. I hope that makes sense what I'm saying here. Okay. And I'll inshallah relate to today's time also, how unfortunately we think of it. It was narrated from Shifa bint Abdullah. Shifa bint Abdullah, I talked about before also that she was the one who was used to be a Qadi Hisba, which is a Qadi or a judge who would walk in the streets and check the economic situation, meaning people are not cheating while buying and selling. So she's the one who's reported that she saw some people who walked slowly and spoke slowly. And she said, who are these? And they said, she said, by Allah, when Umar Al-Khattab spoke, he could be heard. When he walked fast. And when he hit, he caused pain. And by Allah, he was true ascetic. See? So it's not the weakness, physical weakness, that brings you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Remember that. Now, I can tell you, I meet people, and unfortunately, I have come across many of the, even we refer to them as scholars today. You shake hands with them, and you feel that the hand is like this, hanging, has no power, no strength, as if that makes a person more religious. Okay? That does not make a person more religious. Look, Umar Al-Khattab was defined as when he hit, he caused pain. It cannot be hit by like this with a hand that has no strength, can cause pain. So, that doesn't mean that you shake the hand, you break somebody's the hand when you're shaking the hand. But the thing is, that's not cause somebody to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by showing yourself, I speak very low, people cannot hear me what I'm saying, whispering like that. And when trying to meet somebody, you're meeting in a very weak manner. Okay, this is never was defined this way. Yeah? As a matter of fact, the hadith of Rasulullah that talks about that in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a strong believer is better than the weak one. Now, that's talking about the physical strength as well. Okay? Now, if a person is weak because of situation he is in, all that's not what I'm talking about, because, for example, he did not have enough to eat, or he's weak because of some sickness or something. That's a completely separate issue. I'm talking about a normal situation. Yeah? So do not make our deen weak by acting weak or trying to deprive yourself so you come out look weak in front of the people, thinking that will make you a more ascetic, a more person who's close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This was important. This is why I took it out from Umar's life and want to talk about this, because it's an important subject and we should be aware of it. Okay, now today, besides that, Umar was also very concerned about the health of the people. One time he met somebody and he had he had a big belly. And so Umar asked him, what is this? And he said, barakah min Allah. This is the barakah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he has a big belly hanging up. And he said, barakah min Allah. But no, this is rather an adab from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, again, we're talking about normal people. We're not talking about somebody who has some medical conditions because of that, his weight gain is there, these kind of things. No, we're not talking about it. But just because of overeating on a continuous basis, and you know that this is a big problem nowadays. Obesity has become a huge issue. And there are a lot of people die because of the issue of the diseases related to obesity. Okay? So we should be careful about our health. There is nothing wrong about taking care of your health. As I mean, we should, we must, and if you're healthy, inshallah, we'll be able to do more, right? To please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the acts of worship and whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expects from us. A healthier person obviously have more energy and he can do more things. Okay. And Umar used to emphasize the importance of exercise, horsemanship, and horseback riding. He used to say, teach your children swimming and archery and train them to proficient on horseback. and teach them some beautiful poetry. Because the hadith of Rasulullah also talks about similar kind of wordings. So Umar is not just making up stuff, he is reflecting on the hadith of Rasulullah and he was suggesting people from there. Okay, now today basically I want to talk more about these two events in the life of Umar, in his era. One is the Am al-Mada. Am al-Mada is the one that is referred as, the reason it's called Am al-Mada, the year of ashes, because of the drought that was happening in the Medina and the surroundings that was causing the wind to blow in a manner that you feel like as if the ashes are blowing. Because of the dryness, whatever was there, it dried up. In those days, what we see from the life of Umar is when people did not have enough to eat, Umar started from himself first and his family to make sure they are not the ones, because they are the one in power, that they get all the food and all the luxuries of life while the others are suffering. So the first thing Umar did was himself. He swore that he would not even eat ghee, yogurt, or milk until all the people could afford these things. And one of the incidents talks about when some ghee and yogurt reached the marketplace, and one of his servants, he bought them from Umar for 40 dirham. And Umar asked him that, first he came, because Umar made the oath that he will not eat until basically everybody else has it. So Umar, the servant came and he said, "Oh Amir al-Mu'mineen, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has listened to your dua and your oath has been fulfilled, now you can eat this." So Umar asked him about this ghee and yogurt that he got. He said, ask him, how much did you pay? And he said, 40 dirham. And he said, no, this is a lot that you have paid. Which means the regular people did not have access to the ghee and yogurt for this kind of a price. Because regular people did not have access to it, Umar said, how can I be concerned of people if I do not suffer what they suffer? See, what he's saying is, كيف يعني جعلنا رأيتي إذا لم يمسني ما وصاهم. How can I be the one? And meaning here he's saying is, if I do not feel what people feel, how can I be able to caretaker? Now, why am I bringing this specific example here is, look, imagine today, any kind of a disaster happens, right? Whether it's the genocide that's happening in Gaza, or Sudan, or elsewhere, or any earthquake or flood and all those things happen, go and check at that time, how's the life of the people who have power and authority? Did it change? Did it impact them in any way? And what we find is, their life goes on. That doesn't change. Forget about that they will take some actions to take care of the others. Rather, you find them that their life goes on as is. And look at Umar. Umar is saying, how can a person really think about it? How can somebody even take care of somebody else if he does not even understand the pain of it? If he doesn't understand what they are going through? For somebody to really solve any problem, he has to know the problem. Fine, I'm not saying that everybody has to go and get in the area where flood is happening, so now you are feeling it. No, at least you have to have first-hand information and you are impacted by that. And look how Umar was impacted. That Umar not only did that, and he basically had the meals that he was taking at that time was restricted to just olive oil and the bread. Okay? And his stomach was rumbling. And he's talking to his stomach like this. You can rumble as much as you want. That you're not getting it until Allah provides for the rest of the people as well. Okay? And the Sahaba said, Asim, one of the servants that we talked about before also, the one who used to sometimes walk with Umar Al-Khattab in his nightly patrols, that he said that we used to say if Allah had not lifted the famine or the drought that they were going through, Umar would have just died because of the concern of the people. This is the kind of a concern Umar Al-Khattab had about the people. And one time, during this Ramadan, sorry about this typo, one day they slaughtered a camel. And when they slaughtered a camel, so they brought the hump of the camel, the meat from there, and some liver, and they brought it for Umar al-Khattab. And they said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, it's from the camel that we slaughtered. He asked them, where you get it from? And they said, this is from the camel that we slaughtered today. And he said, well, no, but a bad ruler I would be if I ate the best of it and gave its bones to the people. Take the plate away, he said, and bring me some other food. And they brought some bread and olive oil, and that's all. Basically, he soaked the bread into the oil and then he ate. And he said to Yarfa, look how concerned he was about the people and how informed he was. He said, take this dish to the household of Yasma, for I have not been to them for 3 days. So he was concerned that they may not have anything to eat. So he was well informed about the people, as much as he can get the information from. Now, think of today. Today is much easier to be informed about the people in general, right? It's just, you can just have apps out there and allow the people to access the app and inform themselves. Or you can ask them the questions and they can reply back to them about their situation. In those days, there was no such communication like that, and Umar was very concerned in making sure that he's getting information from the people as much as he can, or otherwise, the ones that he has delegated the job, he made sure that they are getting the information, because he was continuously checking on them as well. Okay, now, besides that, Umar also made sure that his own family members are not the one that, okay, Umar deprived himself of those things, but his family is living a luxurious life. So he put the restrictions not only on himself, but on his family members as well. So they had to also suffer more than the people did. So one day, even he saw his son was holding just a watermelon. Watermelon you don't even think of much today, yeah? And when Umar saw that, he goes, no, son of Amir al-Mu'mineen, how can you eat fruit when the Ummah of Muhammad is starving? So the boy ran away crying, and Umar did not rest until he had asked him about where did he get it from. And he said he had a handful of dates, and he exchanged those dates with the piece of watermelon that he was eating. So he was concerned about that. And I have cut down many stories which are about Umar, are reported about how he made sure that there is no nepotism or favoritism in the favor of his family in any case. Okay, so because of this drought, there were many people who were gathering around Medina, from the surroundings of Medina, and they came to Medina looking for food. And Umar ordered them, men to look after them, and I heard him saying one night that count how many people ate supper with us. This is 7,000. And then they counted the sick men and children. There were about 40,000. A few days later, the number of these sick men and children reached 60,000. Now, Umar really wanted to feed them all, but the rain did happen. But 2/3 of these 60,000 people passed away. And this Amr Ramadan, many deaths happened. It's not only these 40,000 which are mentioned here. But Umar was continuously going to the refugee camps. He was helping himself to cook the food as well. And as much he could have provided, he was providing from the resources Umar had. Now, see, when you are the leader of the people, your resources are not limited to where you are at. Now, because remember we talked about the state in the time of Umar is expanded drastically. So there were other regions which were living the lavish life, including Egypt. Egypt was referred always as the bread basket. Okay? It was the bread basket for many nations. Now look at today, because when I'm saying Egypt, Sudan was part of it. Okay? Now they're continuously dividing the Ummah. Egypt divided into Egypt and Sudan, Sudan divided into South Sudan and Sudan, and now they're trying to divide further down Sudan into 3 or 4 or 5 different countries, because Sudan is still a very huge country, one of the biggest countries in Africa still, after the division. Okay, so Umar sent out the letters to different regions. So he sent to Egypt. Egypt was under Amr al-As, he was the governor of Egypt. And he said to him that from the slave of Allah, Umar al-Khattab, the Amir Mu'min, to Amr al-As, peace be upon you, do you want me and those around me to die whilst you and those around you are living a life of luxury? And he said, help, help. And right away, Umar al-As, he replied back, he said to the slave of Allah, Amir Mu'mineen, from Amr al-As, peace be upon you, I praise Allah besides whom there is no other God. Help is on its way, just wait, I am sending to you a caravan. When the first one is entering, the last one will leave from Egypt from him. Okay? And he said, I will find a way to send more goods through the sea as well. So he sent 1,000 camels loaded with flour and other goods, and he sent 5,000 garments to him also. And from the sea also he sent some help. Now besides that, Umar also seek help from other regions, as I said. So Umar reached out to the governor of Syria, Iraq, and Persia as well. And the first one who come to him was Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah with 4,000 camels. Muawiyah bin Sufyan sent 3,000 camels, and 1,000 camels came. Flour arrived from Iraq as well. See, when you have resources like that, it's easier to solve the problem. Yeah? And you know that these are the resources, you can utilize them. Today, when disasters happen to the Ummah, most of the time what do we see? What we see is the donation boxes continue to increase in the masajid. And alhamdulillah, we should pay whatever we can within our limited resources. Yeah? But the states that are run by whoever is ruling, they have much more resources at their hands that can be utilized to solve the problem. But we don't see that happening, because unfortunately, the problem is the maldistribution of the wealth is one of the biggest problems the whole world is facing. It's not that the resources are not there. It's not that the food stuff is not there. I have talked about this before as well. Food stuff is there. I mean, look, people are dying because of starvation. It's not because the food is not there, because there is a huge population which is dying because of overeating. The diseases that they are going through because of the overeating. Now, I was talking a few weeks ago about the subject, and I mentioned that. You know, there's an example you hear many times. If somebody, you find that children are eating, and the mom will remind them, don't waste the food, look, people are dying because of starvation, and so on and so forth. That's good that we should not waste, by the way. I'm not trying to say go and waste. But the point is, let's say if I am supposed to be eating 2 breads and I eat 1, does that solve the problem of the people who are starving across the world? No, it does not. Because it's not the issue of me reducing my intake of the food will solve the problem. It's the distribution of the wealth has to be done as well. So the food has to reach from one place to another place. And that can be done by the one who has the power and authority. We have the example of the Gaza in front of our eyes. It's not that the thousands of trucks were not parked outside to take the resources inside. They were not allowing it to get in. So the distribution is a bigger problem than to think of the resources itself. I hope that makes sense. And again, I'm not saying that if the kids or somebody is wasting food, it's okay to go ahead and waste the food. No, we should not waste the food. But we should think more than that. That why the people do not get what they should be entitled for, which is basic necessities, at least, the food, clothing, and the shelter. Okay. Okay, so it's not that Umar was just only seeking out for the help from the people. Look, we always rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? So reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always there. Tawakkul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whether we are in a situation of need, whether it's difficulties, whatever situation we are in, because that's part of the Iman. We always rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tawakkul is part of our Iman, that we rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all the time. And Umar al-Khattab also did that. There's a thing called Salat al-Istisqa, which is the salah or the prayer that is done especially for the rain. And Rasul is reported by Rasulullah, from Rasulullah as well, that he used to do that too. Now, so he made dua to Allah Azza wa Jal as well, and all the time he was making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the people were making dua to all the time. But this dua is not the only thing that you do, you have to take care of the means as well, right? So, for example, the issues that the people are going through, whether it's in the Muslim land or whether it's in Chicago, wherever we are talking about. It's not that dua is needed. Dua is one aspect of it, and this is proven from the life of Rasulullah that yes, he made dua in all circumstances, but he was utilizing the means as well. So he did make dua as well. So we rely on Allah, and he made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like this for people. Fear Allah concerning yourselves and what you do in secret, for I am being tested by means of you, and you are being tested by means of me. And then he said, I do not know whether this is a sign of divine wrath on me and not you, or you and not me. But it includes both of us. Okay? And then he says, come, let us pray to Allah to guide us our heart. And then he also called up Abbas, the uncle of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, so made dua on his virtue. Because he said like this, he used to make dua on the virtue of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam when he was alive. Now he's not there, so he has made a dua on the virtue of Abbas. And that shows another thing. Remember, I've been saying multiple times, many times people are trying to talk about as if there was some rivalry or something going on between the family of Abbas, the family of Ali, and Umar Al-Khattab or anything. You find that Umar kept Abbas at a very high esteem, and Ali at a high esteem. And his relationship was very well documented, that they had very closely knit relationship. And Abbas, when he made dua, and he said, with his eyes streaming with tears, Allah, calamity only befalls because of sins, and can only be relieved by repentance. The people are turning to you by virtue of me, because of my relationship to your Prophet ﷺ. Our hands are stretched for you. And when he was making dua and after his dua, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted dua and he started praying. So that's the end of that. Okay. Now, there is a misunderstanding about Umar is during this famine, the Amr Ramada, he suspended the had of cutting the hand of the thief. And people use this as if now you can change the ahkam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's not the case. And there are many scholars that work on it. You can check Al-Mughni, also by Ibn Qudama, and he also mentions that this is not the case, rather it is that because the conditions for cutting the hand of the thief were not there when the famine is going on, when people do not have enough to eat, and they are forced to go and steal, in those circumstances, Sharia does not allow actually to cut the hand of the thief. So you don't say that the rules were changed by Umar, so people can go and change the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wherever they feel like. Rather, Umar was following the command of Allah in a way it's supposed to be followed, which is the had is suspended, rather not to say it's abrogated, because it's not abrogated, rather it was suspended for that time being when people were going through the drought. Okay? Now about the plague, and this should be inshallah quickly. So plague happened in the 18th year after the Hijrah, and the main started from a place called Amwas. So Amwas is somewhere in between Jerusalem and Ramla. So Ramla is a different place than Ramallah. Yeah? So there are two places in Palestine, and even from Palestine they might know. So Ramla is different than Ramallah. So this is a different place between Al-Quds and Ramla, and this is the first place, that's why it is called the plague of Amwas. Now, Umar Al-Khattab, when he found that the people that were getting sick, the 17th year after Hijrah, so he wanted to visit Syria for a second time. So he set out and with Muhajirin and Ansar and stopped by the camp in Sarq. Sarq on the border between Hijaz and Sham. Remember that I always mention, even though it says in English Syria here, it's Sham. Because whenever the text in the older books talk about Bilad al-Sham, it's referring to all these nations which have been divided now today, Syria, Jordan, Lebanon, and Palestine. All of them are supposed to be referred as Bilad al-Sham. So this is the area between Sham and Hijaz. So Umar consulted with the others and decided to go back. Because of the sickness, he found out that there's a plague going on. And there's a report talks about it when he talked to Abu Ubaidah al-Jarrah, Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah told Umar that when he was trying to return back, he said, "Oh, are you trying to run away from the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?" And Umar's response was that if I enter into the area where there is a plague or I go away, both of them are in the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How can I run away from the qadr of Allah? So both are qadr of Allah, both are in the control of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now here, so Umar was following actually the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If there is a place where there is a plague going on, the one who are inside they do not come out, and the one who are outside they should not go in. Okay. Now, so Umar he left the land because of the plague going on. Now there are many of the Sahaba passed away in this plague. Many great Sahaba, including Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah, Mu'adh bin Jabal, Yazid bin Abu Sufyan, Suhail bin Amr, Mu'atba bin Suhail, and other leaders of the people. Many of them, they passed away because of the plague, because they were inside there. And not only that, Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah, even though he was not impacted, when he was asked to leave, he did not, because he now wanted to leave the people in the situation as Allah has given him the leadership of those. He'd rather stay there and take care of them. And they used to look at that as this is a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if they are even getting infected. And there are many hadith that talk about that the people who die in the plague are referred as shuhada, and who survive also they get the ajr of the shuhada. Okay. Now, the ruling on the land that has been struck by plague, as the hadith also said, if you hear that there is a disease in a certain land, do not go there. Disease is referring to the plague or something. And if it strikes a land when you are there, do not leave it and try to flee from it. Now, this is staying is a concession, meaning, and leaving is a concession. This is not obliged or something this way, rather giving both options. If a person is in a land where there is an epidemic and he has been infected, then there is no point. Talking about the one who are healthy, they can leave the want to stay, they can stay. It's not this, it's floors. I think it's the carpet there. Okay. Alright. That's all I want to talk about today. And next week there is no talk inshallah, but there will be one on December 1st, I think, whichever day it is. I'll try to get you some idea, probably get a map or something that shows you that how much the state expended in Umar, and then we'll talk about the last days of Umar Al-Khattab, how he was assassinated and what happened after that.